right, fantastic. In that case, hey, everybody.
Well.
Woo! It is Lisa Wade here with the very first episode of Dirt Road Divinity. And woohoo! I am so excited. And really the purpose of this new series is to really explore kind of the scenic route of the soul. And that for some of us, our path to understanding ourselves better and understanding our relationship with the divine better hasn't necessarily been a straight, well-paved road. For some of us, it's been a little messy and a little windy and a little lost in the wilderness at times. And today, I am so excited to have with me dear friend, Doug Koester from Alaska. Doug, thank you so much for joining on this very first conversation. You know, when the idea first hit me to do this, and I thought, who would I love to talk to first on my birthday? I thought, it's Doug. It's Doug. You're like a present to myself. So thank you. And I know that your words and insights will be a gift to anyone who has the opportunity to watch and listen. Now, for those of you who don't have the luxury yet of knowing Doug, he's just an amazing person. I mean, I can share highlights about what you've done, you know, or what you do, just in the sense of, you know, starting out as Peace Corps volunteer, for one thing, working in the fields of environmental health, behavioral and mental health, family planning, domestic violence prevention. You've got some really cool programs going on right now and projects with Native wellness, and working with the men in Alaska, and also with teenage girls in Pakistan, if that's correct. And so many other things. That's just like way Cliff's Notes highlights. So I'd love to hear more about what you're up to, but I also just wanted to give a little bit of insight about the man, and that's my very favorite part. I had the chance to meet Doug, I think it was like maybe 2008, 2009, somewhere around in there, and it was at a spiritual workshop, and I just remember meeting you was the first time that I ever met someone who was a stranger, and I felt in my heart, oh my gosh, that's what unconditional love feels like. That's what it feels like when it's just coming from another person. That's what unconditional love feels like. And that has just struck me and stayed with me ever since. And so thank you for being that kind of person. So Doug, welcome. And is there anything else you'd like to share about, you know, what you do, where you are? You're in Alaska, and really what lights you up these days?
Well, first off, I probably just got to share that I don't have anyone's answers because I'm still trying to find my own.
Hallelujah.
So, you always make me smile, and my heart lights up when you're around too. So this is easy peasy to feel that way. Lately, you know, it's funny you asked that, like what lights me up, because I've been lucky enough, because I have an amazing family and wife and other supportive people, that I can kind of follow what lights me up a little bit. I'm not, you know, it's all work, but to be able to choose your path that excites you is so important. Oh, it is like, that is like what drives me. And I know we've all heard like follow your bliss, but I don't even know what bliss exactly means. And it always seems a little like, wait, maybe that's too much. I don't know. Wait, no, I want to follow that too. But I just kind of go with like what excites me. And lately, it's been working with men, because I'm a man and I am trying to figure it out, and I work in the field of violence prevention, and it's one of those things where like we haven't been very good at engaging men. We've made it really hard for men to engage in it, because we put up all these weird limitations and all these like things where like, well, you got to be like this if you want to, you know, be a part of it. Right now, my philosophy is, wherever you are at, we welcome you in, because we want you involved. We want your voice. We want your spirit, and we need your caring. We need to stop harming people. You know, I'm really, it's such a big thing for me. It's just we got to stop. So let's do it. It doesn't have to be this big heavy thing either. Like, we can do it and still make it joyous, you know. And just that connecting with men, for me, just one-on-one with other men, or 1-on-2 or 1-on-3. I've been so lucky to be able to do that lately. And every time I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm feeling a little weird. I don't know if I can do it. And then I do it, and it just like feeds me. It so feeds me. Yeah. And one more thing I got to say, because I had this other thing. So I have such amazing people in my life, and these Native men have been really helping me. And quite honestly, the Black Lives Matter movement has really taught me a lot, because I've really delved into it. And I've been being pushed, and now I'm just freely going into it to look at my ancestors. Yeah. Where did I come from? Like, who am I? Who are my people? And I know that could be a couple different things. You could have your spiritual lineage, your star lineage. I'm just thinking like my genetic lineage, because I'm connected to them. I truly believe it. And that's Alaskan Native, and other natives say that, like, we're all connected. It's not happening, oh, that was in the past. No, it's a wheel. Yeah. And every time I discover another thing about my lineage, I feel like I expand a little bit more. And I swear, it's like, it sounds weird to say that, but it's like a real feeling. Like, I am growing energetically by connecting with my ancestors and where they came from, and the beauty that they're holding, and they did hold. So that's a couple things.
I love that. Well, and just seeing how you light up talking about it, it's clear that, you know, that it's coming from the heart, and that it matters. And it feels like, just knowing a little bit, you know, about you and kind of your path a little bit, that the essence of what you put into like your spiritual work is also the essence of what you bring to your work in the world. You know, that idea that there is connection, that connection actually matters. My guess is, to the extent that you're being effective in your work with the men, is because of the connection and relationship that you're building.
Oh, I love that. Connection. I can't say enough. I was teaching in the 7th and 8th grades like a few months ago, before COVID, when we could do that. And we were teaching about substance misuse. And really, it comes down to the opposite of addiction is not what you think it is. It's connection. Yeah. That was our message in the end. Because when you're connected, when you feel connected to others and connected to yourself, boom, addiction doesn't have a foothold. And it can't, because connection is that powerful of a thing. I guess if you call it a thing, I don't. It's amazing.
It matters. So in a big picture perspective, thinking connection, yes, connection with people, but then connection with the great beyond, whatever that is. I'm curious, what do you believe? Like, from like a spiritual perspective, what are your beliefs? What do you hold?
It's so cool that somebody asked me that question, because it's kind of like one of those things you're like, I wish somebody would ask that. But I don't think anyone ever has. So there you go. I got it. Somebody asked me that. I'm going to ask somebody else that, just to pass it on.
I love it.
You know what? Okay. One of the main tenets of my beliefs is to not have a really rigid belief system. Because we've all are transforming and changing every day. And I learned that early on by some amazing teachers. But as soon as you really solidify it, then there's this whole other realm you're like blocking out. So I know I do that because we all hold beliefs, and subliminally they're in there, and there's, you know, so many of my own beliefs I'm trying to like overcome even because I know they're in there. And I, you know, I might consciously say I don't believe it, but there's parts of me that do, and those are like limitations, honestly.
Yeah.
But in the end, one thing I can say that doesn't limit me is my belief in what I call the spirit that moves in all things.
Love it.
And that is just, I feel like there's an energy that moves in all of us, all of my plant brothers and sisters back there, all the animals, through Mother Earth, through the rocks, through the whole thing. And that energy to me is like a foundation of like what I respect, what I love, what I honor. And it really fuels me, because it does, I think, really fuel me, because it's moving within me. And when I hold on to it, it can bring me to beautiful, beautiful places of inside myself and outside of knowing, knowing about it all. And that reminds me, there's one other thing that I really feel is important right now. Is I used to think I was on this like warrior's journey, and, you know, I'm going to change the world. And, you know, I really got into that. It's like, I think it was Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, and all that. And I'm still so into it. But I realized, even though I am doing all this externally, the real journey is like inside.
You got
the
it.
real like quest in like slaying dragons, which I don't even like to say because I like dragons, but like maybe my inner my inner dragons that need to be transformed, we'd say. It's so on the inside. And even though I'm embracing my world, and it's not easy, and I guess I say this easier than I do it, so I'll admit that right out. But
So
I
normal.
know it's on the inside. I know that's a big part of my journey, and where I need to go, and where I need to really find healing for myself, and hopefully then I can help others.
Yeah. Kind of goes back to that. It was a Buddha, you know, be the change you wish to see in the world, or Gandhi. I guess it was Gandhi, but, you know, that to heal the world, we have to first heal ourselves, that it starts there. And that's part of the concept with this idea of Dirt Road Divinity, is that it's not just the external journey, but sometimes, you know, most of the time when we take the journey inside, man, that's where the mudslinging starts, and the deep pits that you didn't know existed, and fire breathing dragons that you didn't know were there, that could be allies if you let them be, right? They don't have to be scary enemies, but whoo, it's not for sissies. I mean,
no, it isn't. I got to tell one thing, because you just said that. I read this study that men were like being studied, and it was either they had two choices: to reflect, just sit quietly and reflect on how they're feeling, or to get electric shocks. Guess what they chose?
I can,
Electric shocks,
but
because they're like, hell no, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel how I'm feeling.
So why is that, do you think? What do you think underlies that? Because there was no doubt what the answer was going to be.
I know, we're all like, oh, we know. Yeah. Oh, it's I'm the same way, so I have no judgment towards it, because it takes focus for me. It takes like going my attention, my focus, and I have to turn it inward, because it doesn't sometimes feel that good. I mean, I can make myself feel all cheery and stuff, but then I also want to look at those shadow parts of me. And I've realized that if I can feel that energy, you don't even have to label it. Especially men don't have to, like, talk about it or label it. They just feeling it. And when I feel it, it starts to lose its power. It starts to dissipate a little bit. And that charge, that super energetic charge, which is really hard to sit with, starts to go away a little bit. And anyway, it's definitely not easy. And I don't know why. I don't know why we don't do it.
You know, to kind of circle back around for just a second, when we were talking about addiction before and your work with the 7th and 8th graders and the idea that the opposite of addiction is connection. And it seems that, and you said not only connection with other people, but also connection with yourself on the inside. And just looking at some of the men who have been in my life who have struggled with addiction to very dire consequences, it feels like it truly was a connection issue. You know, I get where people will say alcoholism and other addictions, you know, are incredibly difficult to overcome and really hard to break. And I wonder how much of that lack of connection to self, or not knowing what to do with the feelings, the anger, the sadness, the fear, you know, all the feelings that so often it feels like men in our society are discouraged from looking at, or discouraged from exhibiting, discouraged from owning. I've just often wondered how, you know, I know when I get sad, I eat tortilla chips. You know, I might not drink a lot or, you know, do drugs or whatever, but I'll throw down a bag of tortilla chips if I don't look at what's making me sad. And so do you think that there's a connection there with the sometimes unwillingness or uncomfortableness of addressing feelings, or just being willing to feel the feelings and leading to some behaviors that can be problematic?
You know, I'm so fascinated by masculinity, and it doesn't, you know, anyone could be male identified in my perspective, but in masculinity, there's always both inside of us, also in my perspective. But just masculinity, what is that? And so much of what we think it is actually social constructs. Because when you go back in history, when you go back, you're like, oh no, men always didn't suppress their emotions. Sometimes in some cultures it's fine to like let them out, but honestly in our culture today, we teach boys at an early age to don't cry, don't, like, why are you feeling that intensely, you know, stop that. And I quite honestly, when I was little, I was a crier, and I did a lot, and I stopped it inside myself. I still have trouble like reactivating it. But it's, you know, men, it turns out, little boys, I have 2 little boys, so
They're so cute.
I watch emotions every day. It turns out other studies show that little boys actually have a greater outpouring of emotions, you know, more intensely than even little girls. I don't know where that came from. I could be totally wrong, but I know it's not wrong in my house. So I got 2 little boys and they feel emotion so intensely, and they just like, it's like going up and down. And I have to remember, don't try to stop it. Don't try to like plug it up, because that's what happened to me. And men can feel a whole rainbow of emotions, but we've told them, oh no, you have your choices. You can feel anger. You know, you can feel kind of some excitement in sports. You might be able to show love for your brother in when it comes to like war or sports. Otherwise, you want to like limit that. And it's really hurt not only men, but I think it's hurt all of society. And I'm not talking about like, oh, we have to be more feminine or anything of the sort. I'm just saying we got to honor our authentic selves and what's going on inside.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to go there. I've always, you know, so often I've encountered men that stay in their heads a lot, a whole lot of mental activity going on, or physical activity going on. But when it comes to heart stuff, you can tell there's like 10,000 walls and that heart's behind, like Fort Knox type, protection. But then I think back to, what is courage and where does bravery come from? And that whole protector type, archetype that we think about, and that I think a lot of men aspire to be, more than just a provider, but also, the protector, the leader. And if we can't go to heart, it seems that we lose out on some of the beautiful things that come from that, like courage and like bravery and like passion, feeling really passionate about projects, which it's so clear you feel passionate about the projects that you're working on. And yeah, it feels like if we can allow men to not allow, but invite and encourage men to be all that they are, not just a socially accepted piece of it, but all of it. Can't even imagine what society would look like if that was the case.
Oh, it's so true. Someone in this thing I'm working in the last week with like these girls from Pakistan and Sri Lanka and even the US, we were supposed to draw our safe place, draw like our place of safety. And I realized, I was like, I don't know if I feel safe anywhere. And I think part of that is that protector stance. Like I honestly do have that when I'm at home. I'm like, and I'm not, like some crazy protector or anything, but I hold that space of like, this is my job. And it's in there somewhere inside me, even, I let my guard down and stuff. But I realize that I need to create that. I need to create that protective space and that safe place inside myself so I can feel this stuff. And I can feel. And so much of it is, and it's so funny because it's the whole thing about vulnerability, right? Like, oh my gosh, vulnerability. And men are like, vulnerability, I'm not letting my guard down to do that. But I keep thinking, I always go back, and I've learned this from Brene Brown, so I'll just put that out there. But I go back to the idea, like when like men are in conflict or in sports, there's times you make yourself vulnerable. You find the courage to make yourself vulnerable to protect others. And it's time we like did that for ourselves. Yeah. We need to like turn that into ourselves, and we need to make that like open ourselves up vulnerable. You don't have to go and tell everyone, and like expose it all, but just for yourself. And it's still scary. But I feel like it can move mountains inside.
Yeah. That whole day. What was the name of her? The book, was it Braving the Wilderness? I think that was the title. I'm not sure, but it was the whole idea that the most strength or the most courage or bravery that we have is when we choose to stand truly and authentically within ourselves, truly and authentically within our beliefs and within what matters to us and we're passionate about and what lights us up, even if those around us might be like, what? You what? But that is where true courage is really shown. And it just dawned on me that it's that wilderness component, because sometimes you can feel like you're alone in the wilderness and it can feel scary to be that vulnerable. But that gets me into kind of my last question here, which is, I know just because, we're Facebook friends and you are so great about letting the rest of us live vicariously through your adventures in Alaska. So I know that you and your family spend a ton of time outside, whether it's kayaking or hiking, climbing, camping, the whole business. Why is that? Why is that important to you? And why is that important to you to share with your family?
Oh, that's such a cool question, because it's not even something I think about. Just like it's something that it just happens. And I feel like part of it is the challenge. I love like interacting with the elements.
Yeah.
fire, water, earth, and air. And I love that challenge of like the raw interaction with them. There's that. And then there's like just the grace
Yeah.
and just being fed by that grace. And I'm lucky to live in Alaska, and our places we go are like pure and just like, I'm sometimes they've been untouched forever since the beginning of time, as far as we know it. And that feeds this like essential part of my spirit that I can't even, like, it's not like a word thing, you know, it's like it's the whole other part of me that I don't have to like label it or like label things out in nature, just to like stand and feel it around me and the water moving. And I love all aspects of it.
Is that seriously a bear that got into your truck recently and got snacks?
It's true. We had one just 2 days ago again. It was funny because I had to kind of confront it, and I had this, I was trying to record it, and I was holding this 2x4, and I was like, it kind of snarled at me, and then it was in a vulnerable spot, and I was like, I cannot throw this 2x4 on this little bear, because actually it was a little bear. It was a young one, and it snarled at me, but I kept thinking, I'm like, I wasn't even offended by that. If a human came in my yard and snarled at me, I would have went like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it would do such a thing. But that's what's so neat about nature. Like, it doesn't touch your self-importance. Like, you don't get offended. Like, I might fall down a rock. I'm not going to like scream and blame that rock. So it gives you like another way of experiencing the world without humans to like, because they bring up so much weird stuff. It actually pushes all those buttons.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I love the fact, some people will go do their adventures on their own, and the fact that you share it with your family and are raising your boys, it seems to really value being outside, to value the experience of not only family time, but family time together out in nature and in the wilderness. Do you find that, to bring this conversation full circle, when you were talking about, your beliefs and believing in the energy that connects and moves through all things, I'm taking it that you feel that when you're out, especially as well.
Oh, I so do. I feel that. And I mean, personally, it's even more than that. I believe in nature spirits.
Yeah.
For me, they're the energies that create form. They take energy and turn it into form. So, I mean, you can call it what you want. We have all sorts of different names for them, but for me, it's just like pure energy. And I honor that. And it's so cool to like honor things outside yourself, or feel like that appreciation and feel that power, of things outside yourself and outside our media world. Because you can feel all that, but it doesn't really touch you in the same way.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing a piece of your soul and a piece of your heart with us here today. Is there anything else you'd like to encourage or share, just along the lines of this Dirt Road Divinity, scenic route of the soul concept? Is there anything that you'd like to encourage or inspire others, or just share?
I feel like it's hard living on planet Earth. Is freaking hard, and there's no like, everyone's telling us what's right, what's wrong. Everything feels really polarized right now, and I feel for you, whoever you are. I don't care what polar extreme you're on, or none of them. I feel for you, because it's a it can't be understated that it's one step at a time. And if you can take one step towards the inside, one step, and maybe it's not as scary in there as it is outside of us as we think.
Maybe this is the perfect time for turning in, because then at least, for a
Exactly.
minute, we might avoid all the crazy on the out. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate you, and I just the chance to share your spirit with other people, and in the world. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. So, thank you for sharing your time, and I really look forward to connecting again very, very soon. Very soon, hopefully.
Me too. Yeah, anytime. Let's do it.
All right. I will talk to you soon. And to all of you who have been watching, this has been episode 1 of Dirt Road Divinity. And I look forward to ongoing conversations with fascinating folks like Doug on future Thursdays. So stay tuned and let's talk. Thank you. Bye-bye.